So I'm reconstructing a bulkhead, and this is what a Land Rover bulkhead starts out like. It's a Series 3 bulkhead. Only the first few inches of the transmission tunnel look this wide. It then rapidly narrows, and up at the level of the dash, there is this tub-like structure attached to most likely keep the center section rigid. And the center does stick out into the car. And I had to cut this center away so that I could install the 300 TDI engine. I took some measurements, but I had to cut away more than I thought I would be cutting away because I underappreciated the size of the fresh air pipe from the air filter to the turbo. Here you can see this piece of metal I welded in immediately after I cut out this area of the bulkhead so that I could fit it around the new engine. So I have to keep building off of this. This is not flat in your normal Land Rover. There is a bulge out piece which I had to cut out. So it'll be a typical cardboard design exercise. What I have to build is something like this, but I'll try to add some curves to it so it evokes a little bit what was here before. Alright, as far as cardboard assisted design goes, this is very straightforward. Trying to keep things simple so I can actually make these panels as simple as possible, but not simpler. Alright, I got a slip roll set up and I've tightened it up so that it actually moves the metal. So we're going to try to give this some shape using the slip roller. I'm gonna go get it checked in place. I'll be back. Alright, this is actually about the correct fit, but I need to slightly roll it in the opposite direction in this area. This area, a little bit in the opposite direction. The opposite curve is already starting, one revolution in. Alright, this is that bit of an S-curve that I was looking for. I'll go take a look. I'm trimming off the extras here that I left to work the roller. Alright, a proper tool for this operation is probably a high throat bead roller, which I don't have, but I may be in luck here. This may be possible to do this curved part in this low throat, low gap bead roller, because the way I'm doing it, much of the part will remain on the outside for much of the time, so let's hope this works. All right, the bead is rolled. However, the panel has lost some of its curvature, including that desirable S-curve. So we'll see if I can give it back to it. I took some time to fabricate the S-curve, where this curve reversed itself and ran in this direction earlier on a slip roll. And it was nice and it fit very nicely in there. And in the process of bead rolling on a round bead, on a round roller, which was underneath, the S-curve disappeared because I was following a round roller like this. It wanted to assume more of this shape. So now it'd be nice to slip roll it back, but now I have a depression, which was, of course, an effort to make. So the plan is to fill the depression with a piece of scrap like this and gently to slip roll just this area. I don't need much. All right, so the sandwich is going in. The sandwich is in. And I'm only working on this S-curve, area, just the end of the panel. I need to get to reverse direction. I lost the sandwich spacer. Sandwich spacer is back. Here we go. I can see my S-curve returning. Okay, I got the S-curve back, and I preserved my depression created on a bead roller by putting a spacer in here. I've seen this done on a bending brake, where parts like this are bent with a spacer, but I've never seen this in a slip roll, but it works, at least for a limited little thing like this. I'm not sure how well you could roll something like this into a tube. But this worked. I have some cardboard assisted process going on this side now. All right, the next phase has been designed in cardboard. Now we're transferring onto this piece of steel. I'm laying out for the bead roller. I'm of course not putting this logo here under the carpet or under the vinyl, but let's see if I can roll this in. need to make a pretty tight bend right here. The proper tool for that would be a radius brake. I almost wish I could wrap it around this roller right now, but I'll try to roll it in on this very short segment. Making my own radius brake, I guess. The brute force radius brake. Now, how do we get out of it? By unscrewing. Yeah, the brute force radial brake sort of worked out, radius brake rather. I will need maybe a little hammer and dolly correction at this corner, but otherwise it is a 90-degree radius bend, and that's the type of radius I was looking for. Back when I started reconstructing the firewall after I cut out this huge piece to get the engine in, I had to leave some extra metal because I wasn't sure how the final design was going to be. And now I can start cutting that away. I'm not very excited about grinding on the vehicle here next to the engine, but I do have all of the openings on the engine taped up, and I'll keep this to a minimum. The final finishing of all this stuff will take place off the Rover, and with abrasive dust in a corner where I can have better control over it. I've shown this in my other videos. I have a special drill bit that's ground to a point angle of 180 degrees, meaning straight across. It kind of looks like an end mill. And I use it to scrape out weld-through primer from plug welding holes, because it's nicer welding when the metal at the bottom of the plug welding hole is shiny. panels are welded in. This one, when I originally tacked it in, I tacked it in incorrectly. I had this triangle gap here because there was a piece of material that was left to be removed in the future. This side welded in really well on its other side. The issue is here in the middle. I wanted something like a butt weld, and because of the reverse S-curve here, I thought it was sort of going to happen because of how they came together. And then there was some welding and grinding, and now there's sort of a trough here from grinding and a trunk here. So very unhappy about this flat area. On the other hand, it's just flat. So what I'm going to do is cut out the flat strip and then make a replacement strip with offsets and plug weld it to both of them. And that should be a strong and flat connection between these two panels. On the positive side, this curve worked out okay. The curve matches the pipe back there, and I can stick my fingers between the pipe and the metal, and the transmission tunnel area is probably going to be good. All right, the bad piece has been removed. So the plug well holes just got punched. Okay, so the patch is getting there. It's a very simple patch. I did add 1 inch at the bottom to be bent up to become the flange that the transmission tunnel will be attaching to. Just a 90-degree bend. Needs to go in a tool like this for the offset to be pushed back. I'm taking my time here to clamp things up. This is already a redo, so I want a nice result from welding. Alright, getting ready to weld the first plug. And the second plug. Okay, I did some grinding. The overall result is much better. It still need to finish the weld seam, which I will when the bulkhead is off the rover. But much better, much flatter. The weird reverse S-curve, which turned into a scalloped out area from partially misguided welding effort, let's call it, is gone. This is my inexpensive shrinker stretcher. I don't have a stand for it. I bolted to this welding table. I have 2 holes here that match the holes on the back of the shrinker stretcher. So the holes on the shrinker are threaded, which is good. Here's the handle, and we're ready to go, and it's, you know, it's about the size of your palm, so in between uses it can be stored in a drawer. This is just a 90-degree bend. Alright, so this is fairly close to the pattern. I'm gonna go try it on the Land Rover. This is the flange. It will go behind, but of course the curve can be just as well test fitted on the front. So I made it too long. Behind this panel there is already weld-through primer. I climbed in there and did it the other day, but this needs weld-through primer. So so I've reached an important milestone project here in the Coiler project. The bulge, the bulge that covers the air pipe, the fresh air pipe from the air filter to the turbo, that required so much cutting away and invasive distractive steps with the original Land Rover bulkhead is done. The next step is for the bulkhead to come off and to be put on a jig on the floor where I can walk around it and have access to every side of it and do rust repairs. There's quite a bit of rust on top. Things like this hole here is a rust cut out, and there are rust issues here. So rust repairs need to be done, followed by the final welding. There are quite a few holes. There are a few pieces of metal to add. Once all of that is done, it can go back. I'm not quite sure it'll be ready to get galvanized at that moment or primed. I haven't decided yet on finishing for it, but it's been constructed around the new engine and new transmission. That's definitely an important point in the project. I'll see you on the next one.